Hey, Undisputed listeners. Before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. Download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com now. Let's start the show. Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
We got to get this NBA offseason over so this man across from me can stop gloating, because I've heard enough. It's enough. Let's just start a new season and stop this.
Can I get my celebration?
Malarkey.
Can I get my ring?
Yeah, you got a ring.
Then I got to get my ring.
You have one for your nose.
Until he gets his ring, I have a feeling Shannon will be gloating for all of us. But as you mentioned, Skip, this is a good sign. The NBA season is around the corner, and the top 10 NBA players heading into this year were ranked and released this morning on ESPN.com. LeBron James, well, he took the top spot, followed by teammate Anthony Davis, coming off their championship win. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Dončić, and Kawhi Leonard all rounded out the top 5. So, Shannon, are you still gloating over there? Did they get this right?
I mean, the king is at his rightful place.
You don't even need to talk. Why should you even speak? I should speak.
Go ahead.
No, go. Go ahead and gloat. This is your last. I want you to understand, this is your last shot at gloating.
You do realize we're going to repeat, and I'll be back in the same seat again in 2020.
We'll see about that.
Until 2021.
Well, you should. You got the best two players in basketball. That's what they say.
Oh, yeah. I see it. You're gladly.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised at AD that they had AD in front of Giannis. But I don't think anybody thought anybody but LeBron James would be number one, considering the season that he had, the regular season, and then you combine it with the postseason that he had. So, Skip, I don't think anybody's surprised that LeBron is number one. I think we might got a little surprised that AD being number two over Giannis. Because, Skip, if you look at KD, okay, we know what KD is, Skip, but he has been out for 18 months. He is coming off an Achilles injury. And you look at some of the other guys, and I think there's a lot of uncertainty. Where is Harden going to be? We're going to talk about James Harden. Where is he going to be? The system that he's going to play, who he's going to be playing with. And so I think, and you look at some of the other guys. So for me, yeah, they got it right. Giannis and people like, hold on, wait a minute. Now, we've seen this 2 years in a row, Skip. Come playoff time, we don't see regular season Giannis in the playoffs. And I think they dinged him for that. And so when in AD, everybody had these questions about AD. Mm-hmm. Can he stay healthy? He's never been on the big stage. The pressure of playing for the Lakers, being a Laker big, night in and night out, having people gunning for you. How's he going to stand up to that? And everybody, I don't know if AD that dog. You know, I know some of these other guys, they got that dog in them. Hey, DC, see? Y'all looking at the man and say, well, he ain't no German Shepherd. He ain't no Belgian Malinois. He ain't going to bite nobody. He just is tearing them up. Mm-hmm. Yoke, got him. Whiteside, Nurkic, got him. I'm not going to even talk about Houston because they ain't have no big, so we knew he would go light them up. And then in the playoff, did a number on Bam, too, didn't he? Yep. So I'm not surprised.
Bam, he was hurt.
We heard him.
Oh, we heard
him. We heard it with them jumpers. We heard it with them jumpers.
Okay.
So Skip, look, I don't think anybody's surprised with the number one spot. We know the top dog was going to be LeBron. And 9 of the first 10 years, he was the rankings. He was number one. Giannis supplanted him last year. But that was coming off the groin injury. And everybody had, I don't know. Man, he got hurt. This is year 17. He seemed to be slowing down. He's not, Kawhi better. Kawhi, Giannis, all these. Y'all know what time it is, Skip. He's still the king. He's still the king. And AD is only going to get better because guess what, Skip? A second year in the system. So if AD is going to arise, what do you think? Who do you think is going to benefit from that? LeBron James. Now, I don't know, Skip, if he's going to play. Last year, he played 67 of the 71 games that they played. Now, they're going to play 72 games this year. I don't know. I seriously doubt it. If I had to bet something, I'm going to say he's not going to even be close to that number of games this year. But he will be just as dominant, just as impactful as he's been for the previous 17 years. And guess what? July, before the Olympics, he's going to have to make a decision. Do I want to take my 5th championship over to, where they going to be at? Japan. Do I want to take it over there and gloat in everybody's face, or do I want to sit back? Because I hadn't had a vacation with Savannah and the family in a minute. So I probably just going to sit this one out.
He did go to Vegas for like...
Don't worry about what that ain't no vacation.
Take Savannah and the kids to Vegas?
First of all,
because... Go ahead.
It was quarantine, and they had no shows going on, so we weren't able to do what we normally would do in Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
James Harden just went to Vegas, and they're making him take 6 straight days of tests coming
We
back.
don't do it like
you don't do it like
Nah.
Okay, it is my turn. No, I am not surprised about this list, this ranking.
You're not surprised about one, or you're not surprised about both?
Either one. I do not agree with both, but I am not surprised because...
You think somebody should be over one? So somebody other than LeBron should be one?
I'm about to get there. Okay. Look, what has just happened is this is the end of the Lakers victory parade. This is it. To the victor go the spoils, and these are the spoils. So everybody is prisoner of the bubble moment, and all of a sudden it's LeBron 1 and AD 2, and I was surprised that playoff Rondo wasn't ranked 3rd on this list because it felt like, well, seriously, that's how it felt to me.
They take
that was the momentum.
They take everything in totality, regular season and postseason. You just talk about no postseason.
Okay, now, my step back perspective from this is, even though I did agree that LeBron should have been the regular season MVP, and I'm going all the way back to pre-pandemic.
Okay.
I thought he closed so strongly just before the March quarantine hit that he deserved a combination of regular season MVP and comeback player of the year in age, what was the age, 35,
right.
and year 17. So I told you, I said it right here, I thought he deserved it over Giannis. And Giannis wiped him out in the MVP voting, and that shocked me also, because remember what the first-place votes were?
Yeah.
Giannis had 85 first-place votes to 16 for LeBron, so he didn't even come close to regular season MVP. Even though I'm going to give you that much, when we step completely away from this, and we rank every player in the NBA right here, right now, without being prisoner of the moment, I say, okay, how can one team have the first and the second player? Because isn't it true that LeBron had a supreme advantage over everybody else because he has the second best player? To me, you should be disqualified from being number 1 if your teammate is number 2. How can you do that? It's like Heisman voting. They're never going to vote 1, 2 players on the same team, right?
Well, maybe Glenn Davis and Doc Blanchard, I think.
Okay, but you're prehistoric with that, okay? And I'm not even sure that qualified that year. I could probably pick that argument apart, but it is very difficult to go 1, 2.
It is.
Because they cancel each other out.
Right.
Because, wait a second, if AD's the second best, and I can argue there are lots of times in the playoffs when I thought he was first best.
But let me ask you a question. Do you believe AD would have been number 2 had he not played with LeBron?
No, he would not. But I'm saying they scratch each other's back.
Right.
So they play off each other so well, and they were a great fit together.
Yes.
I have no issue with that it's almost disqualifying to rank 1-1 and 1-2 because you say, well, wait a second. They had the other guy. He had him, right?
Correct.
Okay, so it's a little hard for me to go there because just a year ago, LeBron was coming off a horrendous first season in L.A. Obviously, it was embarrassing what happened.
I mean, let that thing get skipped. You say the man is embarrassing, and he was 27-8-8.
Okay, but he was 28-27 as a starter for his first-year Lakers, right?
Yes.
And I kept showing, and I'm not going to show it today, but I kept showing a blooper reel of LeBron's blunders, and they were kind of like half-hearted, I don't really care, I don't even want to be here kind of blunders, right?
Yeah, he wanted to be there.
And it got so bad that at Madison Square Garden, the mecca of basketball, he tried to take a last-second game-winning shot and got it blocked by Mario Hezonja. That was the all-time bottom. He bottomed out that day at Madison Square Garden.
And that lets you know how serious, how injured he was.
Okay,
because nobody blocks that step back.
So what I was trying to say is in the pre-pandemic regular season, it felt like a combination of MVP and comeback player of the year because he had come from that to this, okay? Now, a year ago, Kawhi Leonard was ranked 2 and LeBron 3, okay? So what happened? What changed? Well, here's what changed. Think about what Kawhi did this year. Again.
Nothing.
Oh, he did nothing. Okay, so think about this. Let's look at this year's list.
Okay, go ahead.
So you got Kawhi all the way down at 5th. He fell from 2 to 5th. Okay, his next teammate is ranked 20th in Paul George. So he doesn't have Paul George at 6. It's not 5 and 6. It's 5 and 20.
Yeah.
And then his next teammate from last year's Clippers, if you want to look back, you have to go all the way down the list to 76 to find Montrezl Harrell. Now your player, used to be a Clipper, right?
Right.
So look at what Kawhi didn't have last year. His second-best teammate is ranked 20th, and then his third-best teammate is ranked 76th.
Well, first of all...
Then you have to go to 90 for Pat Bev and 99 for Marcus Morris. Think about Kawhi Leonard, who was the odds maker's favorite going into this past year's playoffs in the bubble. Who was the favorite?
Skip.
It was the Clippers.
But here's the thing.
And it was all because of Kawhi Leonard.
And you know Kawhi would not have been 3rd. Skip, you talk about that, that was prisoner of the moment. He had just won the finals MVP, and so that's why he was never that close to LeBron. If you starting a team right now, you won't find one general manager, even Lawrence Frank, would not take Kawhi Leonard right now over the GOAT James. You know that.
A year ago, they all would have. He was the best two-way player in basketball. And again, he did not defend at as high a level. And again, his knees may have bothered him. But listen, offensively, with that mid-range, he was phenomenal. It degenerated slowly through the year for the Clippers to the point that Kawhi was it. It was Kawhi or bust. You know it and I know it. They did not have a true point guard. Pat Bev tried to masquerade occasionally, but he's more of a defender than a playmaker.
Well, why he do all that talking?
Huh?
Why he do all that talking?
Well, he does a lot of talk. Okay, I got it. But the point was, the Clippers on the offensive side became Kawhi or bust, and he took, guess what he took them to? He took them to a 3-1 lead over Denver. He took them to a 15-point lead in the first closeout, a 19-point lead in the second closeout, and a 12-point lead in Game 7.
Well, he should be outside the top 10 if you can't close that.
Okay, he had a terrible fourth quarter in Game 7. He did not have a terrible fourth quarter in Game 6 or Game 5. I thought he was pretty good, but he was not good enough without a pure point guard to get home. They needed playoff Rondo to settle them, to order them into a situation where they could close the deal.
Can I ask you a question, Skip? You mentioned that Kawhi is 5 this year, and now Paul George is 20th.
20th.
Paul George wasn't 20th last year. They based his ranking this year on how bad he played in the playoffs in the bubble last year. So don't give me that, because Paul George was a top 10 player last year, right? So they had the number 2. They had the number 2.
Was he? I forget what he was. Was he that high?
Yeah.
Was he in the top 10?
Yes.
Okay, I don't remember, but I forgot to write it down.
But here's the thing, though. So you had 2 and another top 10 player, and you get bounced in the second. You should have been bounced in the first round. Had Kane Fitzgerald not inserted himself, because you love talking about officials, when they called, when you know what they did.
Okay, so what's more impressive? LeBron and AD going 1-2, or Kawhi going 5 with his next teammate all the way at 20?
Well, Skip,
it's more impressive to be 5th because you're 5th alone. You're a solo act.
Skip, here's the thing. They're basing it on what happened last year and what happened in the playoffs. They're not just willy-nilly throwing these rankings together, and you saw what happened. You mentioned it. Your guy in a Game 7. Now, if that had Skip Bayless, Lord forbid, had that been LeBron James that had a 3-1 lead and had a 15, a 19, and a 12-point lead at any point in time in the game, and then he has a fourth quarter like your guy had, you had to have a part. I couldn't come out here because every day.
Circumstances. Don't be prisoner of the moment. Step back. What was happening? The bubble was happening. And what did Jared Dudley of the Los Angeles Lakers say a couple of weeks back on a podcast? Those boys, meaning the Clippers, did not want to be in that bubble. They did not. They were coming apart internally now that we hear what was happening. We had Montrez and Lou Williams. By the way, Lou Williams didn't even make the top 100 on this list, which is pretty shocking. But the point is, you had Montrez and Lou Williams and Pat Bev to some extent at the throats of the newcomers, Kawhi and Paul George. This and that. Why do you get this and we don't get that? They were coming apart at the seams, and their coach was quitting on them. Doc had had enough of them. He sat over there with his arms folded, watching like, you figure this out.
Well, Paul George quit on him. Did you see Paul George's performance in the bubble?
Was he not having problems in the bubble?
No,
Paul George?
But let me
Lord have mercy.
Here's the thing. The NBA said, we need a deadline for when the players are going to opt in or opt out. You can opt out. You will not get your salary, but we will ask you no questions. Trevor Ariza opted out. Now, he had some issues that he wanted to deal with. He opted out.
Yep.
Avery Bradley opted out. He had some people had family issues that they didn't want to run the risk, so they opted out. Any Clipper that did not want to be there, that could have opted out. You cannot opt in, play, get the brakes beat up you, and say, we didn't want to be here. No, you wanted to be there. You got beat. You gagged. That's all that happened. They didn't want to be there. Half of them didn't even go on time, and then they were going for bereavement issues. They were in and out. They had COVID issues. Okay, no. Okay, those are no good. But I want to know, did Kawhi and Paul George, those are the two guys. Those are the guys that you say that last year was number 2 and one guy was in the top 10, and this year they're 5 and 20. Did they want to be there? Paul George did not want to be there after he got there because he said he was suffering all kinds of depression and cabin fever. Well, Paul George don't like being in the playoffs. Have you watched him in the playoffs? Have you seen Paul George? Did you watch him in OKC? Well, who named him George Paul? Well, he named himself Playoff Pete. Yeah. Okay. Well, it was all about Kawhi Leonard. But he left off 2 E's. Now look what happened to your team. What happened? Your team stayed together because LeBron did a great job of leading them in the bubble. I told you, but that doesn't factor into this list. Yeah, that doesn't make you the first I'm sure player. It does. Okay, so they get to a crucial game 2 against the suddenly hot Nuggets who were starting to feel themselves. And what happened at the end of game 2? This was a case that Anthony Davis should have been 1 on this list. Stop it, Skip. Well, did you see what happened? Could we see that last play one more time? It's called for LeBron James. This is the turning point of the playoffs for the Lakers. LeBron did not move on a play called for him. Rondo said, I locked eyes with LeBron. He did not move. And AD had the presence of mind to loop all the way across the court, all the way over to get open near the sideline so Rondo could find somebody to inbounds to. And because he was channeling the late, great Kobe Bryant, and they were in the Mamba jerseys, AD said, Kobe, and ripped it and saved his bacon, saved LeBron, took him off the hook. Was that not the shot of the playoffs? That was a big-time shot. But do you realize LeBron James finished 2 points short of leading every player in points, rebounds, and assists throughout the entirety of the playoffs? Let that sink in. AD had 2 more points than LeBron, or LeBron would have done something that nobody else will ever do. Lead the team. Okay. Lead the entire playoffs. And so for one game, you saying LeBron James shouldn't be the number 1 player. Okay. Then how impressive was it that your Lakers wound up in the finals against the 5th seed from the East? It's the Miami Heat, the upstart Heat. And what happened in game 1? Their leading playoff scorer, Goran Dragic, was lost for the playoffs. Also, Bam, their MVP, was banged up and lost for a couple of games and came back and was a shell of himself. How easy, how much of a cakewalk was the finals for LeBron and AD? I mean, what did they prove? Little to nothing? Well, here's the thing. What about the 2-time MVP that the Miami Heat knocked off? What about the? Well, you just said he's overrated. Hold on. What about the Celtics? with that young, talented roster that they have, that they knocked off.
I've never been sold on them.
Well, you need to be sold.
Yeah.
Just like you're not sold on GOAT James. But sooner or later, you're going to have to. But see, the problem is now, it's too late for you to buy in. Okay. You should have bought in like I did at the ground floor.
I'm not going to buy in.
Right, exactly.
There's way too much water under that bridge.
No. See, I bought in at the ground floor.
Oh.
And so now, that's why I'm invested. And look at me. Look at my return.
You had to grit your teeth through all those epic fails that LeBron suffered
Look at my
he somehow beat the 5th-seeded Heat without 2 of their best players, playing 3 rookies high minutes. All 3 of the rookies were playing like 20 to 30 minutes a game, and I'm like, this is a joke.
But if you look at it, Skip, the bubble, we saw performances that we had never, ever seen before. We saw
aberrations.
We saw Donovan Mitchell score the 3rd most playoff points in NBA history.
Okay. All right, and one guy was not in the bubble, out of sight, out of mind, along with Steph and Clay, out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
But the best player on the planet has not been playing for a year, and that is Kevin Durant. To me, it's a joke to rank him 6th on this list because he's the best player.
Skip, we don't know
because he's coming off Achilles. I got it. But if he's 98%, which I believe he will be, of what, and again, he's not the quickest guy to start with, or he doesn't depend on his leaping ability.
That jump is still going to be nice.
It's still going to be nice, and it's still going to work, and he's still going to be the best mid-range jump shooter since that guy up in Chicago that LeBron's still trying to chase.
We got past him.
Yeah, you got past him. Kevin Durant will soon show you he's still the best player on the planet. The last time we saw him, he was coming off back-to-back finals MVPs.
Yes.
And he came back, probably prematurely, for Game 5 at Toronto 2 finals ago. And what did he do? He played 12 minutes and scored, or was it, no, 11 minutes and scored 12 points.
Yes.
And he made 3 out of 3 from 3, and it felt like he's going to steal the MVP for a 3rd straight year.
Yes.
And then you know what happened.
Yes.
It went completely, and he went out of sight, out of mind. I'm sorry, he's better than the 6th player. That's just an Achilles ranking right there.
Exactly. And I think some of those, we're going to talk about James Harden, him being 9th. A guy that's finished in the top 5 MVP, I mean, top 3 for like 3 or 4 of the last 5 years.
He was the biggest fall on this.
Right.
But he fell from, what, 4 to 9?
Right, the uncertainty.
That's wrong.
Kawhi Leonard, they got that one right. He might have should have been, after that performance, he should have been out. He should have been he should have been 9th.
9th?
He should have been 9th.
When he had his team positioned as the favorite going into the playoffs, and they were crushing the Denver Nuggets, and you say he should fall?
Hold on. I love how you preface that. Being the great English major that you were, you said were. They were in position. You didn't say they finished the task. I noticed that you didn't say that. So you're very good with that English language.
They had internal strife.
Hey, whoa.
And they were looking.
He was a part of it.
They were looking ahead to the team they knew they could beat. They were ready to come out of the basement, up into the spotlight, and Denver happened. And by the way, Denver's got, what, Jokic is 10th on this list, and then Jamal in the top, isn't he 21?
That's ridiculous. He's ridiculous. Because we're going to talk about him and how low they got him ranked, which is utterly ridiculous.
Which way? Meaning?
He's too low.
He should be higher.
Yes.
What is he, 21?
Yeah, 21, 22, something like
22, I believe he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how about your man Luka at 4th?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Hold on.
What has he done to be ranked 4th on this list?
Isn't he the youngest all-NBA player?
Wait, a guy who can't shoot a lick and doesn't play a lick of defense?
You know what? A guy that couldn't shoot against a team full of dogs, all them defensive stoppers, he averaged 31, 10, and 9.
Yeah, and he made a walk-off shot. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And up to that point, last season, he was 0 for 10 on last-second shots. 0 for 10?
And
he's ranked 4th?
And had Kane Fitzgerald not inserted himself and fouled out Porzingis, you would have lost Game 2. You would have lost the finals.
Yeah.
I mean, the first round, which would have been an epic collapse.
Those boys did not want to be in that bubble. You could see it.
Because they didn't want to see us.
Yep.
They didn't want to see us, Skip. You know that.
So you got a big asterisk besides your championship. It was a bubble championship. And in the end, off that to the victor go these spoils, and prisoner of the moment, you get your moment right now. 1-2, 2-1, however you want to look at it.
You have been leading a chorus of people that said the East was weak. That's the reason why LeBron went to all those finals. He leaves the East, goes to the West, wins the title, and now you try to diminish his ring that he won in the tougher of the conferences. That's what you told me, Skip. You say the West is the best.
Got the 5th seed in the finals.
Who?
Huh?
Skip,
The Heat.
You do realize that you have to play a series, not one game. So they had to beat Giannis and the Bucks 4 times. They had to beat the Celtics 4 times. They did that.
You know what? If LeBron and AD had beaten KD and Kyrie in the finals, I'd say you got me, but they didn't.
Really?
Oh,
really,
boy.
Skip?
They did not.
Well, you know what? I would say Jordan is the GOAT. If he had beat the big 3 Celtics at any point in time in the playoffs, or he had beaten the prime Showtime Lakers.
Yeah.
If he had beaten with Kareem and Worthy and Magic out at their best, I'd say he'd go, no question.
As Larry Bird said, that was God disguised as Michael Jordan.
Why would somebody
The
do God
facts
like that?
are, right now, Shannon can gloat for a couple more weeks
I got plenty
because
more time.
LeBron is
got
currently
one
the
more
champion.
show.
He's going to continue all
This
of it.
show's over. You're over.
No mercy.
What's up, Undisputed listeners? It's your boy, Shay Sharp. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before 2 something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now back to Undisputed.
No mercy.
Cam Newton and the Patriots look to keep rolling against the Rams tonight, 7:30 Eastern on Fox, NFL Network, and streaming on Prime Video. Because Bill Belichick, well, he does need the win to keep his playoff hopes alive in the AFC. And meanwhile, Tom Brady has had one more win at 7-5, but Tampa has also lost their previous 2 games. So, Shannon, who looks better without the other, Belichick or Brady here?
I think it's Coach Belichick, Skip, is because I don't think we've questioned anything that Coach Belichick has done this season. If you look at the amount of guys that have opted out and 2 starters with Patrick Chung and Zeus Dante Hightower, and you're like, wow, look at all the guys that are opting out. And for him to be able to do what he's doing, you look at them defensively, Skip. They get Stephon Gilmore back. They've taken off defensively. Jackson, who's a nice, who's probably going to make the Pro Bowl. I think he has like 7, 8 interceptions. He's playing really well, and they're getting production from guys. You're like, what the hell? What? And so for me, Coach, I don't think there are any people are asking questions about Coach Belichick and his coaching expertise. There are a lot of questions about Tom Brady. What is going on? Is he still the same guy? Can he still lead a team to a championship? And because there are more questions being asked about Brady as opposed to being asked about Coach Belichick, I believe Coach Belichick is looking prettier at this moment as we're having this discussion. Now, the question is, Skip, for me, is that I believe this is Coach Belichick's best coaching job. Of all and he's gone to 9 Super Bowl. Skip, if you look at what they've done, how in the hell in today's game can you win games and you throw for less than 100 yards in back-to-back games? This reminds me of the Ravens. We did have a couple of games, Skip. We went for over.
Your Ravens. I thought you meant the Ravens.
No, my Ravens in 2000, Skip. We did go over 100. I mean, we went to the Super Bowl, Skip, and Mark wrote this down. He's filling in for Steve. Steve, enjoy your time off. Skip, from week 15 on, we did not eclipse 200 yards passing. And we only had 1 game in which we passed for more than 150.
Well, that's better than this.
Yeah, exactly. Right? But our defense, that just goes to show you, Skip, when you can go and have a 69-yard passing performance, a 90-something yard passing performance, and you can win the game. And they won this game convincingly against the Chargers. And the Chargers, look, I'm not saying the Chargers are world beater, but they were playing well. Justin Herbert was playing out of his mind. We had never seen a rookie put up the numbers like he was putting up week in, week out consistently. So for me, Skip, I believe Coach Belichick is looking better right now. Now, this story is still being written. Both of these guys still have their pens, and they're still writing. So we'll see once this season is over who can honestly look back and say. But I'm not so sure that if either guy doesn't win the championship, that story is still going to remain unwritten, and we're going to have to flip the page and start a new chapter. But right now, Skip, for me, I believe it's Coach Belichick.
Okay. The only point I do agree with you on was your concluding point is this thing, even this year, is just getting started. We got a long way to go.
Yes.
And Tampa Bay has 4 games left, 2 against the division rival in Atlanta, and they better win all 4 of them, starting with Minnesota this Sunday. They're a 7-point home favorite. Let's see. I told you I'm still a little shaky, more not because of Brady, but because of the defense over the last 4 weeks. It's the worst defense in the NFL against the pass, because we saw what Mahomes did in the first quarter to them. 213 yards or 203 yards passing to Tyreek in the first quarter alone. Okay.
That was just a Tyreek.
Okay, just to Tyreek. Okay, I want to frame this by making a strong point that the degree of difficulty for Tom Brady is far more than the degree of difficulty for Bill Belichick right now, because Tom Brady had to pick up and move to a whole new team with a whole new coaching staff and a whole new playbook that he is trying to run for the sake of his new head coach. This is Bruce Arians' offense from start to finish, and Tom is trying to run it just the way Jameis ran it a year ago. I don't care what anybody says. Tom Brady is running away with the lead, the league lead on air distance. Nobody has thrown longer passes than Tom Brady has in total. If you add up all the mileage of passes, he's running away with that. So bombs away, no risk it, no biscuit. He's running Bruce Arians' offense. This is no dink and dunk that he's doing right now.
Correct.
Okay? So he is 43 years of age, starting over. At least Bill has his coaching staff mostly intact, except for Joe Judge. And at least Bill has Josh McDaniels trying to figure out a new offense for Cam, obviously, and mostly run-based offense. So it's easier on continuity's sake for Bill to keep doing exactly what Bill has been doing for these 30 years.
But look what they're doing it with. Look what let me ask you a question. If Cam Newton had those weapons, Coach Belichick has those weapons.
That's his fault.
And I'm just asking you a simple question.
That's Bill Belichick's
fault. If Coach Belichick was in Tampa.
He buys the groceries.
If Coach Belichick was in Tampa, would they have a better record than 7-5? Minus Tom Brady as the quarterback.
Minus Tom Brady?
Yes.
Well, who's the quarterback?
Cam. I want Tampa Bay. I want Tampa Bay to everything that's in Tampa Bay, minus the coaching staff and minus Tom Brady, to go to Bill Belichick and his staff. Do you believe they would have a better record?
No, I do not.
What?
Tom Brady has been extraordinary. He got them to 6-2. Right now, Bill Belichick is 6-6.
What is no?
And let's not be prisoner of this past Sunday's moment. How they did that, I don't know. I did not watch this game because I was watching way too many other games. They won 45-0 at the Chargers against a rookie quarterback. And Bill Belichick has a long history of destroying rookie quarterbacks. But they won 45-0 while throwing for 69 yards?
Yeah.
It's impossible. I don't know how it happened. I looked at the numbers. I couldn't really make X plus Y equals Z.
But Skip, here's the thing. I love how you try. Guys, y'all got to watch that, Skip, because he's good with wording. Tom Brady got them off to a 6-2 start.
He did.
Well, tell them what their record is right now.
7-5.
Okay, then.
Yeah, okay, then.
So 6-6, 7-5. You make it seem like y'all 11-1.
Let's look at what has been happening to Tom Brady. Would you believe that he has been hit the 3rd highest number of times in the league? Tom Brady, at age 43, has taken the 3rd most hits at quarterback in this league.
Who's taking the most?
That's Bruce Arians' special, right?
Hold on, Skip, time out. I thought we playing football. Aren't the players supposed to hit?
Yeah.
Oh, they're not supposed to hit Tom Brady.
But what has the Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe always told me? It's not fair what Tom Brady does in offense. This is all through his last 3 years in New England when Shannon Sharpe kept saying it's time for him to go home, time for him. Oh, but he survives because he gets rid of the ball in 1.2 seconds, right? Is he doing that now? No.
But Skip, hold on. You was one of the ones that said Tom Brady and everybody, Tom Brady could go to any system and flourish and thrive. Lo and behold, hold on. When people said Tom Brady was a system quarterback, you scoffed at the notion. Now he's in a system that's not his. How's he looking?
Well, he's trying to be a teammate to everybody. He's trying to be a coach's dream and just say, Coach, I'm going to do it your way here. Their run percentage ranks 28th in the league. So they don't run it. They don't run play action, which is Tom's bread and butter, right?
Yeah, they should.
There's no motion in the offense, which was Tom's bread and butter in New England, so you can identify man or zone, right? So he's strictly trying to do it Arians' way. And it was Tom's decision 4 games ago to say, you know what? I want to shoot the moon on this. I want to go win this year's Super Bowl. I got my man Antonio Brown ready to come here for chicken feed kind of money.
Yeah.
So let's close our eyes and see if we can force feed him into this system and make it work. So far, so bad. And it hit bottom against Kansas City when Brady was just extraordinary in the last 3 quarters and brought them all the way back to 27-24.
No, he was extraordinary in the fourth quarter. Stop that.
27-24 and had 2 long scoring drives in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
And AB fell completely out of that rotation that day. So we'll see what happens going forward against Minnesota. This is a must-win for Tom Brady. As you could argue, if you want to have a credible year, it's a must-win tonight at Rams for Bill Belichick.
But Skip, the question is, if you look at what Coach Belichick has done, like you said, they're winning games throwing for 69 yards. They're winning games throwing for 89 yards. And somehow he's finding a way. Look at how he made Kyler Murray look. Look at how he made Justin Herbert look. He's made some... Skip, when you really look at it, Skip, now, they've got one bad loss on their resume. I don't know how they lost to the Broncos. I really don't.
They lost to Drew Lock.
They lost to Drew Lock.
They did, 18-12 at home.
But
By the way, they lost to Jimmy G 33-6 at home.
They really, and you know this, Skip, I'm not so sure that if that Cam doesn't fumble that ball, they beat Buffalo in Buffalo. And then
they played them tight.
And Seattle.
They did.
Cam,
they had a shot.
And I came in there, I said, Cam, if Cam bounces that, that's a touchdown. They win that game.
Maybe.
So now, Skip, we're looking pretty.
Then,
we in the front.
Wait a second. You conveniently swept under your carpet. What happened at Texans? Texans are terrible. They're really having a hard time. They got a really great quarterback, but they got a terrible football team that was ready to pack it in. And what happened? They blew New England off the field.
Oh, Skip it. I mean, Deshaun Watson's not terrible, and they don't always play to the level of
but where's Belichick's defense? By the way, Pro Football Focus ranks Belichick's defense 21st in the league. 21st?
Okay, so where's your defense rank?
This is about Belichick.
Well, so my thing, hold on, this is about Tom Brady.
Okay.
So you got a defense.
Well, I told you what's happened the last 4 weeks. My defense defending the pass ranks 32nd.
Okay, where's Coach Belichick's defense the last 4 weeks since he got Stephon Gilmore back? Yeah.
Well,
now we talking.
Well, they were at Texans.
Now we talking. No, Stephon Gilmore.
He wasn't back?
No,
well,
he
that
back
was within 4 weeks.
He back now.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh, so you picking him tonight against the Rams?
I just might.
Well,
I
do it.
Plunge.
I'll let you off the hook with only one case right now. I'll take the Rams.
Give me the points.
What points? There are no points.
Yeah, they are.
No?
Yeah.
This is Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
He's the GOAT.
Whoa. Talk about.
Goats don't give points.
Yeah, they do. Hold on, Skip. Give me the points. What's the line?
I don't know what the line is.
4.5. It's Fox best say 4.5. Give me 4.5.
What is it? Is it
4.5? 4.5.
It'll be somewhere right around there.
Well, give me the points.
Well, if you say Belichick's better than Brady, you should take Belichick.
No.
I'll take the Rams straight up.
No.
Why not? Jared Goff. Do you know what Belichick did to Jared Goff in the Super Bowl? He had a QBR of 15 in that game.
Yeah, okay, but Skip, that was then. He got Cooper Kupp back now.
Oh, so that's going to change the world. Cooper Kupp's going to change the world.
Cooper Kupp is to the Rams what Danielle House is to the Rockets.
Really?
Yeah. Okay,
then that changes the world.
Yeah. Skip, look, do you believe this is one of Coach Belichick's better coaching jobs?
All I know is Shannon Sharp and I had a bet going into this season, and you bet that Belichick would win more games than Brady.
Yes.
And after 3 weeks, you folded on the bet. You opted out.
Well, first of all, Skip, I would have never opted out if they hadn't lost to the Broncos, because that was some alarm bells for me, losing to the Broncos, especially that team.
Well, so you've already folded your tent on this one.
I might place a new bet.
Oh, a new bet? That what?
That we're going to win more, New England have more wins than Tampa.
You want to start it up again?
I just might. Don't tempt me.
Okay, well, I'll do it right now.
Don't tempt me.
I will take that bet right now.
But I tell you what we do know. The guy that has the second most overthrows and underthrows in the NFL this year is also your guy.
Yeah.
The guy that's leading the guy that leads in those categories is on the bench now. Walk it to him. So let that sink in for a second. The guy that's number 1 is on the bench. The guy that's number 2, that's about 7 or 8 underthrows and overthrows behind, is Tom Brady. And you told me he should be the MVP.
Who has the most attempts in the league? Most attempts in the league.
Your guy.
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Who has the 7th best big-time throws? Tom Brady. That's pretty good, right? Who's tied for 4th in deep passing percentage of 20-plus yard attempts? Tom Brady. So he's doing a lot of good things, but he's throwing it like crazy.
Let this thing is so I'm trying to figure out how does a guy that has the most passing attempts doesn't have the most passing yards? Something's not adding up.
Well,
if I got the most rushing attempts, don't you think I should have the most rushing yards because I'm getting more opportunities to run the football? If you got more,
see Ezekiel Elliott on that.
So in other words, you got the most passing attempts, yet you don't have the most passing yards or passing touchdowns. What's wrong with that picture?
What's wrong with it is, why is Tom Brady throwing that much and they're running 28%?
He's Tom Brady. That's what you do.
Really?
Yes.
He never did that before. He didn't do that in 19 years in New England.
So in other words, that Coach Belichick made it. So now it should be 85-15 Coach Belichick to Tom Brady. Credit.
No, 75-25 Brady. Yep.
I bet he.
I'll take the Rams.
I bet he go home.
I'll take the Rams.
He goes home to that big palatial.
I am willing to bet on Jared Goff tonight against Bill Belichick.
4.5.
You won't take it.
Give me 4.5.
Is that what it is? I don't know what the line is.
Why would I lie?
4.5?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. You've lied to me before about spreads.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
4.5. Give it to me right now.
No.
For a case.
I'll do 4 right now. 4.
No, 4.5.
We have a deal.
We'll keep our.
Okay.
Guys.
You scared? Go ahead and say it.
It's complicated around here lately with these bets on the line. Skip, I'm sorry to bring it up again, but we got to talk about the Cowboys. You know, their season, it has continued to trend in the wrong direction. And now that Dallas is 3-9, their Week 15 Sunday night primetime game against the 49ers has officially been moved back into the 1 Eastern. What? Yes, the game replacing the Cowboys-Niners matchup in primetime will be the Browns and the Giants. So, Shannon, what does this tell you?
Skip, I know they did not flex America's team. With the pretty helmets and the shiny blue uniform.
They flexed them backward. You know, they didn't. Yeah, they unflexed them.
They flexed them out of it.
Right, yeah.
Really, Skip? Really? I mean, for the Browns and the Giants?
Yep.
Skip, the Giants.
Well, it is in New York City.
No,
right?
Skip, stop that. Stop that. Skip. Hold on. I know Jerry. Ooh, Skip, this is eating guilt. Jerry's great.
Agreed.
You mean to tell me, Skip, let me tell you. I'm going to tell you a true story. Skip, I was dating this girl one time, and we broke up. You know what? I gave her specific instructions. I said, you could date anybody. You could date somebody from Reedsville, from Claxton, Pembroke. Hell, you go all the way to Savannah. But don't you date anybody at my school.
Did she break up with you?
You know what she did, Skip Bayless? Just to spite me. You know what she did, Skip Bayless? Not only did she come dating somebody at my school, she dated my best friend.
Well, then you shouldn't have been with her in the first place.
I shouldn't have been with I was with her first, Skip. She was my boo. He had to have her. But that's not here nor there.
There are no rules when you break up.
Yes, it is. That should be code. That should be man law.
Okay.
He's still my friend, but he should have said, nah.
He's still your friend today?
Yeah, we still.
How long did they last? Like a month?
Nah, Skip. They had a kid together. They did.
There you go.
But anyway, Skip, the Giants are within your division. The Giants are in your division, Skip, and so they flex you guys out, put you in the 1 o'clock. Skip, you know the Cowboys usually play in the 4th. They always play. They either got primetime game in at night, Monday night, Sunday night, or they're playing in the 4:25 window. They bumped y'all to 1. That hurt you, Skip. That hurt Jerry. Now, it don't hurt you as much as it hurt Jerry.
I agree.
But it definitely hurts. But it just goes to show you, Skip, look, the Cowboys are losing, man. And at some point in time, Skip, you gotta win. You gotta bring something to the table. And people are tired. It's not like you're losing close games, Skip.
No,
y'all get blown out.
And we just got blown out in Tuesday night prime time.
You did.
And it was a debacle of a disaster of a nightmare.
And you got blown out on Thanksgiving.
Yep. So back-to-back blowouts in big stages.
Yes.
And the defending NFC champ 49ers just got blown out basically at home by the Bills, right? So I get it. I get the thought, like, no, we can't do this. So I respect this decision. I don't agree with it, but I do respect it. The reason I don't agree with it is I grew up a fan of this team. I wrote 3 books about this team. And as Greg Aiello, who's worked years for the league and used to be the Cowboys PR director, once told me, he called the Dallas Cowboys, as America's team, this thing, this monster. It is a monster. It is the one team you can't take your eyes off of, winning, losing, drawing. Whatever they do, they have a force field of subplots. It's LeBron-esque. It's always something with LeBron James. We talk about him almost every day on this show because it dictates, because he's always involved in something, making a statement, involved in this, involved in that, nothing bad. It's just always,
right.
It's always drama. He is the drama king. This team is the drama king in the NFL. And I know back in the early 90s, I used to do sports reporters up at New York for ESPN every Sunday. And a lot of times, you got it. And a lot of times I had to go over to CBS to watch the games because I could watch them all at once. This is back in the early 90s. So it's back in the days when Terry Bradshaw was there, and I got to know all the producers. And they had a motto even back in the early 90s. When in doubt, we talk about the Cowboys. Now, they were rolling at that point, and they had come back to life post-Tom Landry.
When in doubt, show the Cowboys.
But there's a classic saying from a man I knew very well, fought with him many times, but it was Texas E. Schramm. Tex Schramm was the architect of the original Cowboys. He was the brains behind the original operation. He created everything. He chose those jerseys. He chose that metallic blue color by bringing a TV camera into his office and testing jerseys in 1960, testing them on camera. How do they look? Until he got that rich blue, and he knew it was so pleasing to your eye that it could create legions of fans around the country. He insisted on the Cowboys remaining in the NFC East when they're out there in Texas, and they're in a division with, wait a second, Philly and Washington and New York. He knew he needed to be there because he'd play each of them twice, and he'd get huge publicity in the big media markets in the
York,
Northeast.
D.C., Philly.
It's brilliant. And what he always said was, the national media wants to see us lose, but they do not want us to go away. Nobody wants the Cowboys to go completely away at 3-9 because they're too fascinating. So they're close to becoming irrelevant. You can argue they have become irrelevant.
Well, you know what it is, Skip? What they've become is the Floyd Mayweather, because you know how Floyd was going to fight. Floyd was not going to go in there to try to knock you out, but you wanted to see him get that L. So now the Cowboys,
well, the difference is he never got an L, and these guys are 3-9.
But you want to see them lose again. There's a large legion. Like you said, there are fans that love the Cowboys, but there's another large legion that say, let's get one more L on.
All right, so to your first point, look, the Cleveland Browns are suddenly crazy hot 9-3 with the it kid, Baker Mayfield, who's the star of every commercial on television, right? Progressive or Nissan Heisman House. He's the star of just about every one of them. So I get them, and I get New York's the biggest media market in the world. So you got a built-in audience, and they are suddenly, they've won 4 in a row to get to 5-7, and it looks like maybe they're the team to beat in the NFC East. I'm going to warn everybody, as crazy as 2020 is, look at what could happen even this Sunday. Dallas goes to Cincinnati. Dallas is favored by 3.5 to beat the Bungles at Cincinnati, okay?
They got y'all.
Okay, well, you could be right. And in fact, I hope you're right because I want 3-13 and I want a high draft pick, right? Okay, but let's just say they do win the game they're favored to win. Okay, then we go to Washington. They play at San Francisco where they're a 3-point dog. Okay, what if that proves to be true and Washington loses? New York's at home where they're a 1-point underdog to Kyler and company from Arizona.
Giants going to win that one.
Okay, you could be right, but the odds makers are showing you on relative strength. They're saying, wait a second, Arizona's a little better than New York. Now, are they playing better? No, they're not. But what if those odds prove true? What if New York loses at home? What if Washington loses at San Francisco? What if Dallas wins at Cincinnati? Ladies and gentlemen, the Cowboys are only 1 game back in the NFC East. So then you go to the next week when they got unflexed, and you'd say, hold on here. They're still afloat at 4-9.
Skip.
Am I right?
You've been saying
No, am I right about that?
You're right. You
and by the way, Baker and company are at home playing the Ravens, who just blasted my Cowboys, literally ran them off the field. And remember, the Ravens at Cincinnati are favored to win the game. They're a 1-point favorite at Cincinnati. So if that proves true, what if Cleveland's coming off a home loss, the Giants off a home loss? Would you suddenly lean back and say, boy,
but Skip,
Cowboys?
You've been saying all year, the Cowboys has never been more than 2 games out of first. And you say all they got to do is do this. And if the other team does that,
they've obviously been propped up by the worst division in the history of football. In the history of football.
And this might be one of the worst Cowboys team in the history of their existence.
Well, except for like 89 or, or 1960. Right? Okay, I got you. Those are like expansion type teams. Okay, I got it. But what hurt me as a lifelong fan is when you say Dallas, San Francisco, my eyes just light up because they have had legendary rivalry type games dating clear back into the 70s, right?
Yes.
And now it has come to this. And San Francisco is the defending champ, but it looks like they're not going to have Jimmy G or Kittle or, they're injury ravished.
You're right, because in the 70s, I mean, people only think about the catch. But there are a lot of years that the Cowboys knocked the 49ers out of the NFC Championship game. So it goes.
I lived for all that. I lived all the way through it. And when I hear it, it's just music to my ears and eyes, right?
Well, Skip,
and it has come to this.
I mean, but you have nostalgia. You get to hold that. I mean, there's sentiment there. It won't be that way again.
Okay, just remember what I just said about these odds.
I mean, Cleveland was on the schedule to have 2 primetime games in 2020.
Okay.
And they just got another one, courtesy of you.
Okay, is Baker not fascinating to watch?
It didn't matter. Hold on. Was Baker going to be the quarterback coming into the season? And the network says we're only going to put these jokers on prime time twice.
Baker was horrible last year.
Okay, then. And they had you guys scheduled, so right now you guys are playing horrible.
Yeah, and you still watch them anyway. They could put them on at 6 a.m. and you'd
already know what's going to happen.
No mercy. According to a report this morning, the Bucks and Heat are the 2 latest teams that James Harden would like to be dealt to. Those teams join the 76ers and Nets as the 3-time scoring champ desired trade destination. So, Shannon, what is your reaction to this report and where he wants to go?
Well, I can understand because Miami was in the finals last year and Milwaukee, the Bucks, is, they have Giannis, they have Chris Middleton, they have Holiday. Skip, you're going to have to get off probably 2 of those guys. So is it going to be Giannis? But if I'm the Miami Heat, if I'm the Houston Rockets, James, you want to go to Miami? Okay, I want Jimmy Butler, I want Tyler Hero, and I want Bam Adebayo. That where you want to go?
And Pat Riley's going to say, huh?
Oh, exactly. Okay, if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, Milwaukee say, if I'm Houston, Milwaukee, y'all want James Harden? Okay, give me Giannis and Drew Holiday. Skip, look. I understand. James has put them in a very difficult situation.
Yes.
He's a superstar, and normally superstars get what they want, be it players to bring in players, or if you make them unhappy, they says, I want to go, and they make life miserable for you. But, Skip, it is hard to recoup. It's hard to get equal value for a guy of James Harden's caliber. But, Skip, I'm not giving him away. I've got him for 2 more years. And if you want James Harden, you're going to get as close to my asking price as you possibly can come. Or else James Harden is going to be miserable playing in Houston, Texas. So I'm not giving him away. So if you think you're going to get James Harden because, he put Miami on the list, or, he put the Bucks on the list, okay, fine. That just, you definitely got some pieces I want. Okay, give me Hero and give me Bam and give me some of those. You know what, Skip? I'll let you have. You know what? Y'all can keep Jimmy Butler. But I want Bam, I want Tyler Hero, and I want Duncan Robinson. And and for good measure, 2 first-round draft picks, and you can have it.
Okay. And Pat Riley's going to say, kick rock.
Well, well, then you can. Well, hey, get off my. Why you on my phone then? Why you running up my phone bill using my minutes if you're not gonna give me what I asked for? Because I got what you want. You ain't got nothing. I didn't call you and say, hey, I got a deal for you. You calling me.
James put you on the list, Miami.
Well, untake me off the list.
Okay. Here's the whole problem with this. To your point about LeBron, KD. James is not free. He's not a free agent. If he were a free agent, we could be having a whole different discussion right now.
Different way.
I feel for James. I get it. He woke up one day and said, where am I? Who am I? What am I? I'm going into my 12th year, and I got no shot here.
0 shot.
Right? And now there's another story, which I don't know how credible all these things are, but even with the coaching situation, I thought he was all in on Steven Silas, but apparently that was just a compromise because the owner, Fertitta, wanted Jeff Van Gundy, and James did not want Jeff. That James, according to the latest report,
wanted T. Lue.
Wanted T. Lue. And I don't blame him.
But Skip, I always thought I was very suspicious, is that if you co-sign for a coach coming, and then both players, like both James and Russ co-sign on Silas coming. And then the next day they ask for trades. How did that work?
I don't know. I was shocked by it too. But if the story is to be believed, and I do believe that this was just a compromise and it didn't make either one of them happy. And then Russ says, I want to be me. You know, I want to go where I can be me. And he got to go where he will definitely be Russ again, right?
And he goes with Scotty Brooks, who was their skipper, those triple-double season MVP, so he knows it.
And as I tweeted that night, poor Bradley Beal. I feel sorry for him now because he's going to have to learn to cope with Russ.
Skip Bayless, you the general. So what should Pat Riley give up to get James Harden?
I'm going to guess on this that Pat Riley wants no part of James Harden any way, shape, or form. that you couldn't even give James to them right now because he is recreating that Heat culture that was based around Dwayne, who was a unselfish sacrifice for the team kind of player. A share the ball kind of a player, right? Who didn't care that much about his numbers. He cared about winning titles.
Correct.
And he had LeBron, the ultimate sharer of the basketball, the best passer in basketball. And it worked with those two because they loved each other like brothers, and it worked, okay? And they won a couple of championships together, okay? Gotcha. If you put James in the middle of a mix that got to the finals last year, and I'm sure Pat Riley will go to his grave saying if we'd stayed healthy, we would have given him a hell of a battle.
He believes that.
Yep, that's correct. I don't know if he believed they would have won, but it would have gone 7 games.
He believes going 7 games, and he take his chance with a 7-game series.
Maybe he got Tyler Hero making a hero ball shot at the end of the game. But I think Miami wouldn't want James Harden. I think Milwaukee would love to have James Harden if they could pair him with Giannis. But how are you going to pull that off?
Right.
Because Giannis needs James Harden. That would be a match made in playoff heaven.
But think about how far we've come. Giannis had an opportunity. He's picking sides. He had the most votes in the East. LeBron had the most votes in the West. And he did everything he could not to pick James Harden. And then took a shot at James Harden about his defense. And James Harden took a shot back, says, you know what? It would be great to be 7 foot tall and dunk everything. And now...
They need each other.
You see that?
Do. But what? I mean, you can't trade Chris Middleton back to Houston. He's from the Texas. He went to Texas A&M, obviously.
I'm gonna get Chris Middleton and Holiday.
He was ranked 35th on the.
I'm gonna get Chris Middleton and Holiday.
Okay, and that's not enough. To fill the void left by James Harden.
You know what? No, because Skip, they really ain't got. They got what? They only got 1 first-round draft pick. They got that from when they traded John Wall. So they really ain't got nothing off because they gave up all their draft picks to OKC to get Russ. So nah. I'm going to need Jimmy Butler. No, Milwaukee. So what does Milwaukee have? So you can get...
Remember, they were going to trade DiVincenzo, but he came back.
Okay, so. They got Coddington. They got Middleton. They got Holiday.
It's just not enough. So we go back to Brooklyn, Philadelphia. Brooklyn is not going to trade either KD or Kyrie for James Harden. Again, over Kyrie's dead body, is he going to get traded when he was the one who said, hey, KD, let's go to Brooklyn.
It was his idea to go to Brooklyn. And to think that Brooklyn going to trade him to get James Harden.
It's just not going to happen. The only realistic, plausible scenario is that Daryl Morey, who took out a full-page ad in Houston to say, thank you, James Harden. You changed my life. You revolutionized basketball. He is the new GM of the Sixers. He has 2 nuclear weapons, and they're ranked, Simmons is ranked 16th and Embiid 14th in this latest poll. So they're top 20-ish players, okay? The only way is if they said, okay, we will give up Ben Simmons for James Harden. I told you yesterday, I would not do that if I were the Sixers. But I don't even know if Houston would take Ben Simmons back.
Okay,
it's a guy who can't or won't shoot. For James Harden? Now, how's your box office going to look now?
James Harden.
What marquee value does Ben Simmons bring?
And that's the thing, Skip. Look, you can want to buy something all you want. But if the seller is unwilling to sell it, What good is that? Skip, if I got a house and like, man, look, that's a beautiful house. I want to buy it. It's not for sale. Okay. Well, Houston Rockets like, okay, this is what we'll offer you. No, I don't want that.
If I were the Rockets, I would take Embiid straight up for James Harden.
Oh, no, I'm going to get some draft picks.
No, I think they would do that.
No, they're not trading. Hey. Skip, if you think they're going to trade James Harden, who just led the league in scoring 3 straight years, who's an MVP, who's finished top 3 in the MVP 4 of the last 5 years, straight up for Ben Simmons, you crazy.
No, Embiid. I'm talking about Embiid. That's the one. He's the monster.
Oh, you trade Embiid straight up?
Yeah, I'm saying Houston would take Embiid straight up for James Harden. They would, but here's the point. Philly would be crazy to do that.
Yeah,
Again, the X factor on Joel is just, he's got all kinds of leg issues. He's got back issues. He's
not
got
serious enough for me. His training, his eating habits, no,
I got it, but he is nuclear. I would still do it if I were Houston.
You crazy.
No, I would do it.
Skip, the man has stomach problems.
He is so good on both ends of the floor. When he's right, he's about as right as it gets.
But Skip, think about how many games he's missed to start his career and how many games he misses every year.
No, but he was in and out of the lineup 2 years ago and took Toronto in the Eastern Finals all the way to Game 7.
And what if he wasn't in and out of the lineup?
They would have won.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, that's how good he is.
No. Skip.
Well, here's the point. It sounds like James Harden and the Rockets are stuck with each other, which means both sides are going to be miserable, and it's going to be a miserable year in Houston. And what did the Pelicans admit after they finally gave AD to the Lakers? We should have done it a year earlier because he was miserable and made us miserable for a whole year.
Well, they should have done it at the trade deadline. Skip, this still might happen at the trade deadline because you know every year, Skip, somebody thinks they're a piece away from winning a title, and then they cave. Well, I got this.
No, but it's a piece away, but you have to give up your biggest piece to get a new piece.
Yes, well, that's what you got to do, Skip. I mean, isn't that how it works?
Yeah.
I mean, you replace somebody got to be willing to step right in.
And remember, James hasn't exactly distinguished himself in playoff games, right?
No, he has not. But, nah, Skip, I'm just not letting James Harden go because he's unhappy and says, okay, give me some little auxiliary pieces, and James just go ahead because I want James to be happy because he's done a great service for the Houston community. Hell no. Nah.
Well, it's because you have nothing else to show for
it.
What are you going to sell?
Right, and I've given up all my draft capital to the OKC for Russ, and he's not even there.
No mercy. Zion Williamson landed at 19th on ESPN.com's top 100 NBA players list. Heading into this season, that spot is higher than Paul George, Kyrie Irving, Jamal Murray, and Russell Westbrook, just to name a few there. So, Shannon, is that just too high for Zion right now?
It is, Skip. It is. And you know, Zion had, and I understand that Kyrie's coming off an injury, but Skip, Zion had injury history also, and he's not better than Jamal Murray, Skip. After what Jamal Murray did last year in the regular season and what he did in the playoffs, Skip, there's no way Zion should be ranked in front of him. I'm sorry, that cannot be. And I'm not saying Zion won't have an unbelievable season, but Jamal Murray is on the cusp of going to that next level. He can put the ball on the floor, Skip, get to and the acrobatic shots that he can make at the rim and the mid-range game and shooting the three. Nah. He got to miss me with this one. And even Russ, Skip, people don't realize Russ was like 27-7-7 last year. They must be thinking Russ just fell off a cliff. And now he's going to a situation where he really gets to be himself. I can see Russ averaging 30 points a game. He's going to take enough shots to get that. So, Skip, no, I'm going to disagree with this one. Zion is ranked too high. He should not be in front of those two guys. There are several guys he shouldn't be in front of. Look, I understand Paul George didn't play particularly well, but Zion shouldn't be ranked in front of Paul George.
Really? You just gave into that?
I'll give it.
That's real disrespect.
For me, Skip, look, Paul George had a bad year. Do I think he'll play like this year like he played last year? No, I do not. And I will give him a little slack. You know, you have double shoulder surgery, Skip. It's kind of hard to practice down season shooting basketball if you can't lift your arms above your head. But Jamal Murray and Russ, absolutely not. No way, no how.
Where we diverge on this is, I have said from the start, from Duke, this kid is rare. this kid is going to be transcendent because he does things I've never seen anybody his size do. He obviously jumps out of the gym with supreme power and touch, which is just an unheard of.
He has tremendous athleticism, the way he can contort his body at that size.
And ambidextrous touch. Nobody can keep him from the glass, the cup. He gets where he wants to go on any and everybody, no matter your height. And what he did last year was rare because he didn't even start until game number 45, coming off meniscus surgery, not the most serious knee surgery. Suffered, as you remember, in his first summer league game. Right? After he had just annihilated Kevin Knox. Remember when he took the ball out of his hand and slammed it? And then he got hurt. And if you want to make the case that injuries and lack of fitness will be his doom in the league.
Those are my only concern.
Okay, I got it. If you're right, then I'm wrong. So I don't know. I'm going to have to go from here. He says he's good to go this year. They said they have no minutes restrictions. He's 100% healthy, and his fitness is much improved over last year. I will believe it when I see it in action. But all I know is starting in game number 45, he walked onto the floor and just took games over in ways that were historic. His levels of efficiency, I've never seen anything like it before. So in players who averaged 15-plus shot attempts, now this is fairly small sample size, but he shot 59% from the floor. That led all of basketball just in those games he played. Again, you got to discount what happened. I keep discounting everything that happened in the bubble, except for your team. But this was another team that did not want to be in the bubble because they just went and quit on Alvin Gentry in the bubble.
Cost him a job, too.
Yeah, it did. It cost him his job. I agree with that. But all of them, Lonzo, name somebody, they were done. They didn't want to play for Alvin because they didn't want to be in that bubble. So right on schedule, as they came up to the pandemic in March, Lonzo just took off and played 5 straight games in which he averaged 21, 8, and 8. This is Lonzo. There's a lot of controversy yesterday, but he was ranked 54th on this list 2 days ago, actually. Right? 54th on the ESPN list. It's not too high for me because he can be very, very good. So he shot in those 5 games. I know it's just a small sample size, but he shot 51% from 3. He was 22 of 43 from 3. Okay, that showed you that's starting to work because he started to shoot it over here instead of over there. Okay, so those two together are going to be something to behold because they do fit together.
They do because Lonzo is looking to pass the ball. Zion will run the floor, run to the front of the rim. He'll get position. Skip. They got Zion in front of Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal averaged 30 points a game. Bradley Beal should have been an all-star.
Okay, I got it, but Bradley Beal can't do what this kid can do on stature, explosion, athleticism. Bradley Beal can't make 59% of his shots because he's obviously a distance shooter.
Zion going to average 30?
I don't know. He averaged 24 last year in a small sample size, but 24 and 7. And you just watch what's going to happen. He's, what is he now, 19th on this list? He'll be 12th next year. Then he'll be 8th the next year. And then at some point, he's going to be in the top 5.
Skip,
just
think about it. He went from 42 as an unproven rookie to 19 after playing 20 games. Come on, Skip.
What do your eyes tell you? What's your eye test tell you?
My eye test tells me that he's a dunk layup artist. He can't shoot. Because remember, you talk about, that three-pointer shot. He made that three-pointer his first night back, and I think he made 1 since.
He made 3 the first night.
Yeah, he made 3 or 4 the first night and then made 1 since. But no, Skip, no, he should not be in front of Bradley Beal. He should not be in front of Jamal Murray. You know that. He should not be in front of Russell Westbrook. Come on, Skip, now.
He finished 13th in this league in PER, and he got dragged down by 5 games in the bubble. If you take those 5 away, he might have been 11th in PER.
Skip, he was there. So, you know, hey, he drug himself down. Did you see how he showed back up to the bubble?
He did. I didn't like it. I agree. And you talk about the New Orleans cuisine. He is sampling way too much.
Yeah, I don't mean you got to partake in it.
No, it's great. It's sensational. it might be right up there with any city in the world.
It is.
Right.
It is.
Okay, I got it. But does he get it? Because if he gets it, he's going to be a very special player.
I'm not trying to project out. I'm just saying this year, he shouldn't be ranked in front of Bradley Beal. He should not be. I'm not saying, Skip, by the time when everybody's career is over, I'm not saying Zion is not going to have a better career. Now, it's going to be hard for him to have a better career than Russ, now, unless he wins a title. Because Russ was an MVP, 3 straight triple-doubles, so we know what he's going to represent. So I'm not saying that. But I'm saying right now, Skip, going into the 2021 season, he should not be ahead of Russ, Bradley Beal, and Jamal Murray.
Okay, maybe there's some projection going on here. I'm not the biggest Stan Van Gundy fan as a coach,
Right.
but they're talking about a brand new offense that will be based more on putting him in the role of the slasher and playmaker.
Right.
And remember, they added Steven Adams to do the windows, to do the dirty work.
Yeah, to sit
right?
on the screen.
Okay, well, he will. and he can go bang down low with all the giants, right? And he's good.
And they
at
like
that.
him because they gave him a 2-year extension.
They did. So I love that move. That was a sweet pickup for Zion. So Lonzo plus Zion and a new offense with Steven Adams doing the dirty work. Just what he's going to take off. Watch.
Oh, so hold on. Are you saying they playoffs? Are they making the playoffs?
I like this team a lot.
No.
They're obviously in the wrong conference to be.
No, Skip. You said it's got to be
I like
transcendent.
Phoenix more. I like Phoenix more.
I do too.
So somebody's going to be battling for that 8 spot, and it's going to be those 2 teams. I would give Phoenix an edge right now.
I mean, you say the guy transcended. He's going to be battling for a playoff spot? He's number 1 pick in the draft.
Well,
no more tricks in the draft.
Gone down the list in the West. Whew.
I'm confused.
Maybe Portland will be the odd man out of this.
Oh, so, see? I don't know what it is why you don't believe in Dame, but Dollar going to make you a believer.
Wait, he's ranked above James Harden on this list?
Dollar!
Are you kidding me?
I know who else he ranked in front of, too. Guy that was trying to clown him. Paul George.
Was he doing this against the Lakers?
Oh, it ain't no shame in losing against the Lakers. Nobody did that against the Lakers. You remember every time somebody did that. You remember Russ? You remember Tyler Hero? He hit that shot, and he could growl his lip. He ain't do that no more.
Maybe Zion will be doing this next year. Yeah, I like him to be in the playoffs. I do.
Can we get a couple cases?
Yeah, I'll bet you a couple cases on that.
They ain't go to playoff.
Really?
They ain't go to playoff.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like 'em.
that's official right now? We're going to do it? We got to bet
I
on
want
the
you know
line?
what I want? I want you to know what I want, Beignet.
I'll tell you what.
You want
I will.
beignets?
I will accept this bet if you will give me the Rams straight up tonight. I'll accept the bet. well, my degree of difficulty is much higher than yours.
You at home.
So?
Home
got
games
Jared
don't
Goff at
matter
quarterback.
exactly
Jared
the same.
I mean, guys been living in the Skip, think about it. Now, if you're out in L.A., you come to L.A., and you get an opportunity to go around and partake, Skip, they in L.A. and can't leave their hotel room.
That is
It's
correct.
the practice and back to the hotel room.
Yeah, do your job, says Coach
Yeah.
Belichick.
I mean, that's like being in a candy store, you a kid, and you can't get no candy.
Okay, so we got 2 cases on Zion making the playoffs and 2 on tonight.
No, you
I
gonna give
got
me 4.
Jared
Skip,
Goff.
you just said you give me 4. Give me the 4.
I don't want to give you 4.
Yeah, what's 4 points?
You were making the case Belichick's doing his best coaching job of his life.
He is.
Okay, then take him.
I'm thinking about his
Are you gonna give me
beignets
They
seven?
just won
after Shannon mentioned
45-0.
Are you going to give me
Yeah.
7 points for the Minnesota, taking on Tampa?
Maybe.
that. Maybe.
We'll do that
Okay.
Friday.
We got a little more time to keep
Well, you
talking
do know
about
tomorrow's
this
Friday, right?
before the end of the show.
No mercy.
The top 10 NBA players heading into this season were ranked and released this morning on ESPN.com. LeBron James took the top spot, followed by teammate Anthony Davis coming off their championship win. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Dončić, and Kawhi Leonard all rounded out the top 5. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard joins us now. So, Chris, in your opinion, did they get this right?
You know, with all due respect to our former employer, Skip, this was lazy. They didn't get it right. They got it half right. LeBron James is the best player in the world, okay? He's the best winner. He's the best leader. He's the best playmaker.
Keep it going,
He's not
Chris.
the best
Don't stop
scorer,
now.
but he can score as much and as efficiently as anybody else in the world. He's not the best defender, but when the time comes, he can lock down pretty much anybody else on the planet.
Ask Kawhi and Paul
LeBron's
George.
right. He's the best player in the world. That's right. Secondly, I love AD, and I think he'll make a run at the MVP this year, but I cannot put him as the second best player in the world right now. And that's what I mean by being lazy with ESPN. They won the championship. He played well, so you put him at number 2. But look, my main thing with AD is right now, He's not an alpha. And the second best player in the world has to be an alpha. The second best player in the world cannot have 3 pivotal playoff games where he takes 9 or fewer shots. That I can handle you missing shots, going 4 for 15 or something. You were just off, but not taking more than 9 shots. That can't be the second best player in the world. The second best player in the world can't have 4 playoff games in the conference finals and the finals where he has 5 or fewer rebounds as a big man. And so I can't have AD at number 2. I got number 2, and I know he was lower on the list because he's coming off of injury, but I still have Kevin Durant number 2. I think that he'll take off where he left off when he got hurt 18 months ago. I got Kawhi number 3. I've got Giannis number 4 and Anthony Davis number 5 because I think all of the guys above AD, if they're by themselves, they can carry their team to contender status. We saw AD couldn't do that in New Orleans.
Contender status, but they've never done it by themselves. Chris, I agree with you. I believe LeBron was a slam dunk. And I told Skip at the start of the show, I said, I'm surprised AD is ranked so high. But I think a lot of it had to do, and you mentioned it, Kevin Durant, we have not seen Kevin Durant in 18 months. And although we believe that he will come back and pick up where he left off, we don't know. It's the unknown. It's the uncertainty. We also saw Kawhi Leonard have a 3-1 lead and gag it away. We also saw him load management. We also saw these...
Not in the bubble, you didn't.
Well, Skip, hell.
You didn't load manage in the bubble.
Well, you can't load manage in the bubble because you play it every other day in the playoffs. I mean, hey, Chris, can you load management playoff games? I mean, is that possible? Because if it was, I'm sure he would have.
He might have load managed the little 8-game regular season.
Yeah. I mean, well, Skip, he had to miss like 13, 14 games, and he ain't played but 65.
He's done that every year he's ever played. But every year back to his rookie year.
But, Chris, aren't you glad it ended up the way it did? Because had they won the title, this is another bowl for a load management. Only Kawhi cares about. He knows what he's doing.
True.
So now, get your butt out there and play. And because what it do, it ruined your locker room. That kind of attitude, the attitude that he came, it ruined his locker room. But not to get off topic.
Did it ruin Toronto's
You got leadership. You had leaders. Kyle Lowry. You had guy leaders. You had no leaders. Kawhi, they expecting Kawhi to be a leader, and that's not what he is. But anyway, had they put Giannis at number 2, I wouldn't have been terribly disappointed. But I'm not going to fight you because I believe AD will. And I guess this is projections because that's why Zion is 19 and they got Jamal Murray and Bradley Beal and some of the other guys ranked after him. Projecting. If you believe that Anthony Davis is going to make a run at the MVP, if you believe that he's going to be better in year 2 in LA than he was in year 1, then why shouldn't he be number 2?
I think the MVP is not always the best player. I mean, Steve Nash won 2 straight MVPs, and we all know he was never the best player in the league. He may not have even been top 4 or 5 as far as best players in the league those years. So it's a lot of what you do for your team, your wins and all that. And I agree with you. AD will be better this year than he was last year. I think he's going to really take off. So as a projection, that sits a little bit better with me. But right now, I just think KD and Kawhi and Giannis, I think they're legitimately better than Anthony Davis.
Before you go, Skip, one other thing. And because LeBron is going to take some time off, y'all only gave us 71 days. I mean, normally we celebrate 71 days, let alone get back for a regular season. So we hadn't even finished our celebration. But that's okay. We're going to have a 2-for-1. So we'll celebrate 2 championships. But the parade we about to have, Skip Bayless. We're going to have us one of those Indians type, they get married, have like a 3-month, when you got like, high up there, we're going to have us a 3-month celebration.
Okay. You're still on a victory parade. This is the conclusion today of
No, it's not. No. They got to play. They got to start the regular season.
Okay, my first bone of contention with my friend Chris Broussard is LeBron greatest winner. He's lost 6 finals. Let's not lose sight. He's 4-6 in the finals.
Currently playing right now, of the guys that's on that list, who's a better winner?
Yeah, right now.
Okay, next point. Shannon has softened on his stance that he opened the show with, because Chris Broussard brought a little objectivity to the table. You had your pom-poms out. You were rooting the whole through the A block of the show about 1, 2, 1, 2.
But Skip, what did I said I was surprised that AD was number 2.
I don't think you were surprised. You loved it.
I did love it, but that doesn't mean I wasn't surprised
Chris,
about it.
then I immediately deflated my friend Shannon Sharp by saying, well, time out. If you have the 2 best players in the world, says ESPN, then shouldn't one be disqualified by the other one? Because what a supreme advantage LeBron has. He's got the 2nd best player in the world alongside. He's got a co-star who ranks number 2.
Well, Chris, how many years was Shaq and Kobe the best 2 players in the world? And ain't nobody disqualified him?
Okay, but who was the odds makers' favorite going into the playoffs? It was the team in the basement. The Clippers were favored to win it all in the bubble going into the postseason tournament, right?
A lot of people lost money on that.
Okay,
too.
well, but they were favored. And so back to Chris's point, so Kawhi is 5th on this list right now, but if you look down to his co-star, he's 20th. Paul George, I'm not even sure he belongs at 20, but he made it to 20.
I mean, you that far down, could be considered a co-star? You might just be an extra.
Okay, but that's a case to be made that Kawhi should be actually higher than 5, to Chris's point, because he didn't have AD alongside. He had George Paul alongside.
He had Trez, who's also on the list.
Who ranks 76th on
But
this
you
list.
had him.
76th?
Oh, let me ask you a question. Other than AD, who did LeBron have to make the list?
Well, he had playoff Rondo, should have been on this list somewhere.
Not.
Well, if you rank postseason performances, it'd be playoff Rondo. He might be 3rd on this list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
That's
had
how
Pat
good
Beal.
he was.
And you had Pat Beal,
and
right?
every time I looked up, KCP made another 3. So you didn't have help. Danny Green I know he missed 1 shot, but he made a whole bunch of other shots.
You know what? I love how you know what, Skip Bayless? You're the greatest revisionist in the history of the world.
I'm the greatest truth teller.
You didn't mention it. Chris, do you remember when they was going into the bubble, when Avery Bradley didn't show up? Who's going to make the shots? You didn't mention anything about KCP. You talk about Danny Green. You know, he comes and goes.
Yeah.
That's what got him in the doghouse in San Antonio. Now they win the title.
He has the record for finals threes.
He had.
Well, he did it, didn't he?
But you didn't, hold on. So he had the finals record for threes. They got LeBron, they had AD, and they had KCP, they had playoff Rondo, and you still picked the Clippers. So what is that? So I'm confused now.
All I know is that it was all Kawhi all the time. It was Kawhi or bust for the Clippers last year. Paul George was depressed in the bubble. He was having issues in the bubble.
With that game, I'd be depressed too.
Okay.
Did you see him hit the side of the backboard?
I did.
Do you see him average 8 points in a game? 8 points in a game?
Yeah, look what Kawhi carried them to. It was him or bust on offense, and all of a sudden, they're up 3-1 on a really good, really potent Denver team with 2 players ranked in the top 22, 10 and 22.
Yeah.
Right? And then what happened?
What happened?
They're up 3-1, and then they go up 15 in the first closeout game because of Kawhi
15?
Leonard. They go up 19 in the second closeout game because of Kawhi Leonard, and 12 in the finale. And he had 1 horrible quarter, and it was the 4th quarter of Game 7.
Well, you can't have that.
Okay.
You can't have that, Skip. So I just want to help me understand this. Now, it was Kawhi's, Chris, and correct me if I'm wrong if I left out anything. It was because of Kawhi that they went up by 15. It was because of Kawhi that they went up by 19. It was because of Kawhi that they went up by 12. But I don't hear anything it was because of Kawhi that they lost. You tell everybody every time those boys didn't want to be there.
That's what Jared Dudley say.
But they wanted to be there long enough to get a 3-1 lead. You notice that, Chris? Now, I don't want to be here, but I'm up 3-1. But when I gag it away, I didn't want to be here.
Then the issues reared their ugly heads.
Yep.
Chris, you follow this.
They did show.
And maybe
There's no doubt about it.
Maybe I missed some information. But then the NBA says if you want to opt out, you can opt out. Avery Bradley opted out because he has a son that has some issues and he didn't want to run the risk of bringing that, being there. Trevor Ariza, he opted out. He had some personal issues. He needed to get resolved. He opted out. So in other words, the Clippers, if you didn't want to be there, you could have opted out. Paul George, they showed up. Kawhi Leonard showed up. But you know what they did? They got Skip, it's okay. They had meltdowns. Like you said, superstars, they had meltdowns.
LeBron's had a bunch.
Don't do that, Skip.
Well, he has.
Don't do that.
2011 finals. See that?
2020. Did you see the 2020? Y'all went to the divisional.
Thank you for bringing that up. What did LeBron and AD exactly prove against the 5th seed from the East that lost the leading playoff scorer in Game 1, Goran Dragic, and lost their MVP, Bam, in Game 1, and he was never the same after that? What did you prove? Did you prove you're the 2 best players in the world?
Skip.
I need to know because I didn't see that.
Chris, did the Heat beat the Bucks in 4 games? I mean, in a 7-game series, they beat the Bucks, right? And then they beat Boston also. So you make it seem like somebody just all of a sudden say, you know what, Heat, we want to match you up against the Lakers in the finals. They earned the right to be there, Skip.
I've never been sold on Boston, and I've told you from the start, I'm not sold on Giannis being that alpha with that dog in him.
Oh, my goodness.
Do you see it? I don't.
So, Skip, do you have a top 5?
Yeah, I've said from the start, Kevin Durant is still the best player on this planet, and I know he was out of sight, out of mind, but are you going to dock him for that? I say he'll be 99% of himself, and if he is, he will soon rise to the top.
And guess what, Skip Bayless? 99% of Kevin Durant ain't better than GOAT James. Let that sink in for a second, just a second. Let it marinate.
I'm going to let it sink all the way to the bottom.
We can put that. I tell you what, you know what? You don't say she don't know how to cook, but I cook in a crock pot. I'm going to let that thing, I'm going to put it there, put all my ingredients in there, and I'm going to let it cook slow for about 8 hours, and it's going to fall out the bone. So even with that being said, Kevin Durant not better than GOAT James.
At least we're going to have Katie back in the mix so we can actually have something to go off of. No mercy. During his weekly radio interview, Tom Brady looked back at the 2007 season and said that the 17-14 Super Bowl loss to the Giants was the one that got away. Brady said that if they won that game and went undefeated, it would have been, quote, immortal. So, Shannon, who was most to blame for that Patriots Super Bowl loss?
Brady in the offense. Yeah, I mean, it's simple. But, Skip, I want to know, like you tell me about LeBron when he rehashed things. Why is Brady bringing this up? This 13 years later. Why would he be on his mind? You're in the middle of a season.
This is the one that sticks in his craw.
They're good. It should stick in the craw. I just want to know what happened to GOAT. Now, Skip Bayless tell me about all these game-winning drives. He had won 6 Super. He had won the at that point in time, he had already had 3 on game-winning drives. All you got to do, I mean, what's going on, Skip? Brady threw 50 touchdowns that season. He had 8 interceptions. He was the first unanimous MVP in NFL history. You were averaging 30. You had scored the most points in NFL history at that point in time. Randy Moss had set an NFL record for receiving touchdown. He broke Jerry Rice's 22 with 23. I just need to know why the GOAT and one of the 3 greatest receivers. Some people say Randy's number 1. Some people say he's number 2, number 3, whatever you have it. He's a top 3 receiver, no matter what order you have him in. I just want to know why 2 GOAT players on one side of the ball can only get 14 points. Now, this is what Plexico Burr said. We're going to win the game 20-7. When they posed that question to Tom Brady chuckled and said, we're only going to score 17 points.
He asked that as a question, yeah.
Justin Tuck and OCU Umenyiora both quoted as saying after, Brady's arrogant chuckle fired us up.
Sure it did.
So let me get this straight. Brady said, yeah, if we go 19-0, we'd be immortal. You think? Why do after year after year after year, it's the 72 Dolphins teams that are thought of as the best team to ever play?
Why did they pop the bubbly once again the other day after Pittsburgh lost?
Because, Skip, it's just like, think about if Steph Curry and them finished that off 73-9. It's just like the Bulls, the 72-10. When you do things that's never been done before, yes, that's how you remember. Skip, the fastest man in the world doesn't get the credit unless he wins the Olympic title as being the 100-meter dash champ. So you got to have both of those things. They need to coincide, and they did not.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. It's his fault, and you know it.
Unfortunately for Tom Brady, I do not know it. Bill Belichick cost Tom Brady 2 Super Bowls, and this was the first one, and this was the worst one. And I am still stunned and dumbfounded that everybody in the world lets Belichick off the hook for this one, especially you, being the Hall of Famer that you are. I cannot believe you give him a pass for what happened late in this game. when the money gets pushed to the middle of the table, what happened in this game? I give you that they were held down to 14 points.
Yes!
I give you arrogant chuckle. I give you all of the above.
Yes!
I also give you this would have made them immortal. That team would have been immortal, right? So let's look hard at what happened in the fourth quarter of this game. Tom Brady did what he always does in every fourth quarter of every Super Bowl. He's won 6 of them with 6 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter or overtime. He did it again in this game. He went 80 yards in 12 plays. It took 5 minutes and 12 seconds. And with 2:42 left in the game, on 3rd and goal from the 6-yard line, 3rd and goal from, this is a hard throw, man. This is tough, tight windows in the end zone, right? Here's what he did to Randy Moss. He said, I got you, kaboom, touchdown. Okay, all of a sudden, they're ahead 14-10. Don't you think Bill Belichick's vaunted defense, especially, this is early, this is after the 07 season when they were riding the highest. Couldn't you at least stop Eli Manning from having to go the length of the field to score a touchdown? And remember, in that game-winning drive, should have been, I put quotes around it, Brady was 8 of 11 for 71 yards against the vaunted Giants defense that had locked him down the whole game because they were getting serious pressure with 4 rushers the whole game. And those were 4 really good rushers.
You can't lock the GOAT down. You can't lock the GOAT down.
Well, they didn't. He finally got the cheat code. He figured them out, and here he went. Well, he went right down the field, took 12 plays, 8 of 11 for 71 yards. And then guess what? Eli gets stymied, 1st and 10 from his 17-yard line with 2:07 left in the game, and he goes 83 yards in 12 plays against Belichick's defense to win the Super Bowl.
So let me ask you a question. Did anybody from the defense win the Defensive Player of the Year? I want to know who was the MVP of the league, and I want to know why.
Well, they were a top 5 defense.
I want to know why Brady only scored 14 points when he had been averaging.
Should it have stood up?
No.
You know it, and I know it. Absolutely,
Skip,
it should have stood up.
Let this sink in, Skip. You're averaging 36. You give me 14. I tell you what, a defense that holds an offense to 17 points, they expect to win those games. They expect to win those games.
So all I know is that with 1:20 left, Eli made an Eli throw. And Asante Samuel, who was a 4-time Pro Bowler at that point, I'm not saying he's Stephon Gilmore, but he was really good. He was the best corner on the field. He drops an interception. He jumped a tad, just a touch early, and he started to come down just before the ball arrived, and he didn't get fingertips around the football, and it went right through his fingertips. Okay, does that not end the game? Yep, that ends the game. Guess what happens on the very next play? Eli happened. He sacked about 4 times. That's
No, he wasn't. They didn't get him. They didn't get him.
They get him like 4 times. 4 guys get hands on him. He sacked, you're down.
Lose, Eli.
He's in the grasp. He's in the grasp. And he closes his eyes and throws it as far as he can. And David Tyree catches it up on the top of his helmet, pins it against his helmet on Rodney Harrison, and comes down with it.
Mike Carey did a great job of getting in there to not see, because someone could have easily blown a whistle and said he's in the grasp. But give Mike Carey credit. He got in there and says, no, y'all don't got him. He said, come up out of that thing, Eli. Eli backed up out of there, went to the side and threw it.
So it was still not over because you got to go score a touchdown to beat Tom Brady. And you got to quickly 3rd and 11 at the 25. This is with 45 seconds left, and he throws to Steve Smith for 12 yards. You want to talk about a throw? Belichick, where are you? And then finally, the next play is 1st and 10 from the 13-yard line. And look at little Ellis Hobbs on this play.
Guess what he came with?
Little sluggo.
Huh? He came with a blitz.
Little sluggo here. Look at this guy. Little slant and go.
There's a ball blitz.
They're all coming. And Eli just throws it up. And Ellis Hobbs takes the bait, and he's 5'9" against 6'5". 5'9" against 6'5". And this is about as easy a touchdown pass as you will ever see. And Plaxico just backs up and catches it. And that is 17-14 ball game. That cost Tom Brady and company from being immortal. That's on Belichick.
No, it's
Belichick.
If Tom Brady is that guy, hold on. You had just scored 3 weeks.
2:42 to go. He did it.
Skip.
Pulled it off.
Just 3 weeks earlier against that same defense, you hung 35 on them.
And by the way, Brady did get the ball back.
And what did he do?
And made one hellacious great throw to Randy Moss. You remember this?
I remember it.
Yeah, I think
remember
we
it
might have it. Watch this. Tell me how close this is. To Randy Moss. He's got a step, and it's right on the button, and the DBs are both converging, and they get a hand up on it. Who was it? Cody Webster got a hand up on it.
Brady,
Is that not a great throw?
I bet Brady wish he could throw the ball that far now.
No, he can. He does throw it. He leads the whole league in air distance. His arm hasn't diminished. In fact, his arm might be stronger now than it used to be.
The objective, Skip. That's like saying a guy leads the league. He leads the MLB with the most 95-mile-an-hour pitches.
Yeah.
That's not strikes.
Have you seen Tom Brady underthrow any deep passes lately? I haven't.
Tom Brady.
His problem is overthrowing.
Tom Brady leads the league in underthrows and overthrows.
No.
He's second behind walking to him wins.
No,
That's
sorry.
fact.
The fact is that in 2007, end of season, Super Bowl 42, Bill Belichick's defense allowed an 83-yard drive in 12 plays that should have ended the game.
And Tom Brady-led offense with two. Let this sink in. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there's not an all-century player on that defense. There were two all-century players on the offense that averaged 36 points a game, that led the league in points, that led the league in third down conversion, that led the league in yardage, got 14 points.
And it should have been enough to stand up. How can you let Belichick off the hook for this?
Skip, let it sink in. You would have never said if LeBron James loses a game in which he scores 14 points or he scores substantially under what his average is, you said that should have been enough. That should be good enough.
Yeah, but LeBron gets to play defense. Tom can't play defense.
Well, what you do is that you go ahead and you score your 36 and you ain't got nothing to worry about.
So we just saw Greg Williams get fired for running a bomb blitz. So there's an all-out blitz. Did anybody bring it up after the game? No, because he's the GOAT coach. He's the greatest defensive mind in the history of football.
You know what? I shouldn't have said anything because I know you was waiting.
Well, there it is. Should Belichick have been fired after the game? You could make a case.
So now you compare Greg Williams.
Well, did anybody bring it up after the game? No. It was just about how the Giants shut down Tom Brady. But they didn't shut him down with the money pushed to the middle of the table.
How many did he have? Did he throw for 300 yards? No. No, he didn't.
They were really good. They caught fire on defense. And remember, they had the advantage of the final regular season game at home against that offense. They did a decent job against it. They barely lost, but they hung in there, and they figured out how to play.
Tom Brady had 4,800-plus passing yards, 50 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and he scored 14 points. 14.
Should it have been enough?
No.
Who should have had the advantage in the final drive from the 17-yard line? Would you have said advantage Belichick or advantage Eli?
I would say, Tom Brady, you didn't do enough. You left too much time for Eli.
No, stop.
I know Eli was special.
That's a 4-point margin right there.
No, what you should have done is score 21. The 21 would have been more than the 17. But since you didn't, guess what you got? So I don't want to hear number. We would have been immortal. Wow, would it go out on a limb? Yes. Steph Curry, had they won that championship with 73-9, they would have been immortal.
No, that's different. This is undefeated. This is 19-0 we're talking about.
The reason
19-0.
They would have replaced the 96 Bulls. The 96 Bulls.
Yeah, but people don't think of that way. This is undefeated. This is undefeated.
Let me ask you a question.
Sorry.
Why? Because the undefeated team are the 17-0 Miami Dolphins that finished it off with a Super Bowl. If you're 73-9 and you finish it off with a title, that's better than 72-10.
The GOAT did his part.
No, he didn't.
Oh,
the GOAT lost.
Whew. And Belichick cost him another one.
And guess what?
He gave up 41 points while Tom was throwing for a playoff record 505.
And I'm glad you mentioned it. And guess what happened, people at home and Jenny? Tom Brady didn't walk to the middle of the field and shake Eli's hand. That was the beginning of it right there.
Yep.
And he got him again 3 years later. He didn't shake his hand.
And they're close friends.
They ain't no close friends.
Well, that's what he said.
He like say, you ain't my friend. You won't shake my hand. How we going to be friends? You won't shake my hand.
Show me a good loser. I'll show you a loser.
Well, I know a loser. I don't know about no good one, but I know he lost that game.
Okay, well, I am normally on Tom's side here, but he is going up against the Vikings this week, so obviously...
Oh, first cousin, Kid Kirk got some for
you. Think he does?
First cousins could have a good shot here.
No mercy.
Start Saturday strong with a Rocky Mountain rivalry on Fox as number 21 Colorado looks to secure a spot in the Pac-12 championship when they host Utah. It all starts with Big Noon kickoff at 10 a.m. Eastern, followed by Big Noon Saturday only on Fox. And guys, we may have some snow for that one. I will be bundling up, but looking forward to it. Entering just his third season, Luka Dončić is already ranked as the fourth best NBA player heading into this season, according to ESPN.com. Dončić became the youngest player to earn all NBA first-team honors based on his opening night age. Shannon, so in your opinion, is Luka too high at number 4?
No, and I'm not surprised he's this high. Skip, his stat line is 28 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. He's only 21 years of age. And if you go to the playoff, he bumped that up. He went 31, 10, and 9. He was unbelievable. Only Oscar Robertson, 4-time Russell Westbrook triple-double season, averaged more points, rebounds, and assists than this kid. And like I said, he's in his early 20s. And he's only going to get better. Remember, Skip, this is a projection. And had, like I said, Kane Fitzgerald not inserted himself and kicked out Kristaps Porzingis and injuries, and Marcus Morris, you know, he cheap shotted him, hurt his ankle, you'd have been bounced in the first round. And Luka would have been the reason why. His name is Luka. I think you might have seen him before. Yeah, that's him. He that dude. Closest thing you seen to, you know who, a guy from French Lick, the hick from French Lick, Larry Joe. He just had a birthday the other day.
You finally went over the blasphemy line there.
Hold on, Skip. Did you know he's the first player to be All-NBA first or second team since Tim Duncan in 1999? What? Youngest player to start the All-Star game since, GOAT James. Youngest player to lead the NBA in triple-doubles. Come on, Skip.
So, Luka Dončić is already on the current Mount Rushmore because he's number 4, right?
Yeah.
His face is up there on the side of that mountain up in South Dakota, right? What am I to make of? Riddle me this. The 4th best player, says the ESPN ranking.
Yep.
Can't shoot, can't clutch shoot, and is a defensive liability. So help me out here. I give you really gifted passer. There's no doubt.
Skip.
Maybe second to LeBron.
Skip, he averaged 28 points a game.
Okay, so he finally made a walk-off against my Clippers. And before them, last season, in last-minute shots, potential game-tying or go-ahead shots, he was 0 for 10 in the 4th quarter and overtime. Last minute. 0 for 10 until he finally made it, and he was 1 for 11. Clutch? He had 21 missed three-point shots in the final minutes of games last year. That ranked last in the NBA. That was the worst. He also missed 11 free throws, which tied for 3rd in the last minute of games. So he can't shoot and he's not clutch. In three-point shooting last regular season, he ranked 140th of 147 qualified players. 140th? He averaged 31.6% from the three-point line. He was a below-average free throw shooter at 75.8%. That ranked 85th of a qualified 118. That's not good. We're talking about ranked 4th overall. Top 5, 4th.
You say he was a defensive liability.
Yes.
But did you see what Jamal Murray did to Kawhi and Paul George
Okay,
and
we're
Pat
talking
Beverly?
about Luka.
But I'm saying
about Luka.
Skip, if you have to see, you pick an aspect that someone's not good in.
Okay, but I picked several aspects. I just gave you 4 big aspects.
So what about the points? What about the rebounds? What about the assists?
Really good. He can score in ways that boggle my mind.
But I thought a guy couldn't shoot, though.
Yeah.
How can a guy not shoot?
Around the basket, he's got all the Euro moves, and he's very skilled.
He's
count, very crafty.
Skip, they don't put up barbed wire around the basket and say you can't go there and shoot.
I just remember the classic quote from Kyle Kuzma after that November 1st of a year ago game at Dallas, in which LeBron was saved by Danny Green's
my goodness.
Looked like LeBron had completely screwed it up, and then he got bailed out by Danny Green.
But he didn't screw it up. He knew what he was doing.
After Dwight grabbed Seth Curry and held him, just held him back. But what did Kyle Kuzma say right after the game? We just passed the ball to whoever Luka was guarding.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's your 4th best player?
Skip.
There's this thing called defense.
Hold on.
Half the battle.
Didn't Giannis say the reason why he didn't pick James Harden because he didn't play defense and he couldn't guard? So what? I mean, Skip, listen, let's be all the way. No great defender can stop a great offensive player. I don't care how great he is. You can't do it. Kawhi at his absolute best couldn't stop Jordan, couldn't stop Kobe, can't stop James Harden, can't stop KD. You know, you can play great defense, but these guys are so skilled and great offensively, they gonna get whatever they want. You just hope to make it tough on them. That's all you can hope for. But to say this,
I would give you Luka at 15th right now, but he hasn't proven nearly enough to be top 5 at number 4.
5.
Top 5? Are you kidding?
Yes.
Me? What are you doing?
Yes.
Can't shoot.
Yes. I tell you what, he shoots good enough.
0 for 10 in the final minute on go-ahead shots?
Skip,
really?
Let me ask you a question. How many game-winning shots had Kawhi made before he made that one in Game 7?
I don't know. I didn't keep
Not
up.
many. Not many. Because you know what? He got bailed out by Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili. This guy doesn't have that luxury. Think about what Kawhi would have been if he didn't have Pop and he didn't have Manu, Tony Parker, and Tim Duncan. Would he be the same?
I love it how you always change the subject when I have you up against the wall.
Skip.
And you can't defend everything I just threw at you.
The guy averaged 28, 9, and 8. He's 21. He bumped that up in the playoffs to 31, 10, and 9 against your guy that had Paul George, Kawhi, Pat Bev, Marcus Morris. You said defensive guys, and he cooked them. I don't know what else you want the man to do at 21.
Oh, he's a high-volume three-point shooter who made 31.6% of his shots.
And he'll get
that
better.
ranked 140th, 147. That's not good. That's hard on your team.
So let me ask you a question. And he's also was the ring leader of the most efficient offense in NBA history.
I don't think it was efficient. It was just good. It was just the best offense ever.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Well,
and who's the reason why?
Well, he had a unicorn with him.
Oh, now
right?
he's a unicorn.
He had a guy who's 7 feet 4 inches tall and can shoot threes much better than he can.
He can.
Yeah.
But I'm not getting rid of Luka.
Well, I'm not getting rid of him. I'm just saying 4 is just way too high.
Oh.
Is he better than James Harden right now? He's not better than James Harden.
Yeah.
He's just not.
They're saying, Skip, this is a projection. Given that he's been in this system this is going to be his 3rd season, the uncertainty around James Harden, where is he going to be, the style of offense he's going to be in, who he's going to be played with, these are just projections. And I'm projecting my guy going to be better than your guy.
Who's the guy? I don't know who.
Whoever you got. I think you got Kawhi.
Which guy are we talking about? LeBron or Luka?
First of all, don't you ever, as long as you live, say Kawhi and LeBron in the same breath.
Okay, I'll agree to that if you'll never again put LeBron in the same breath with Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Skip, I'm sorry, Skip. At the end of the day, Skip, it's going to be over. You know that.
Cold-blooded killer versus nice guy.
Same thing happened, though. You know, you got John Wick, and LeBron is James Bond.
I love both of them.
Exactly.
Sorry, that's a bad analogy.
What did you do? What did you do? Like just shoot everything, and the other guy has a nice tuxedo, Bironi, bow tie, Turnbull and Nassar shirt.
One guy's Kawhi, the other's Michael Jordan.
And they got that vintage Aston Martin. He's a martini, shaken,
not stirred.
Yeah,
vintage.
Yeah,
Michael Jordan. As long as you're talking Sean Connery, it's got to be Sean Connery.
Yeah, I like thinking about that too.
No mercy.
Listen up, guys. LeBron said that he was aware the previous 5 years before his arrival that no one respected the Lakers for their poor performances. He said he wanted to be part of the change in the organization, and now after winning a title in just his 2nd season, LeBron said, quote, "This is the change. The Lakers want their respect." So, Shannon, do you like his explanation here?
Love it. See, I'm going to do it like what Tupac said when he got out of Clinton, rest his soul, out of Clinton Correctional. He said, everybody had an opinion. He said, so this is how I'm going to do it like this. Because when he came out to L.A., everybody had something to say. He came to be Michael B. Jordan. He wants to be Kevin Hart. He's just going to spend his last couple of years riding off into the sunset. LeBron James did not come to L.A. Look at this team. LeBron James did not come to L.A. to win a title. LeBron James is content on what he's done. He just wants to be Hollywood now. So he said, also, Rob Pelinka. Rob Pelinka is in over his head. The only reason he got the job was because Kobe was his agent, and Jeannie and the Buzz family and the Laker organization somehow feel beholden to him. He has no idea how to build a basketball team. Really? Kawhi Leonard snatched the rug out of Rob Pelinka. He said, that's okay. Danny Green, you want to play? Avery Bradley, you want to play? We gonna re-sign Ron. We gonna keep Rondo. We gonna re-sign KCP for 1 year. Yeah. Oh,
Dwight
Howard.
Yeah.
Now this is what we gonna do for you, Dwight, because you've been bull jiving. You've been on the bull jive tip for the last 3 years. So we gonna bring you in, and we gonna put you on a non-guaranteed contract. So that way, if you act a fool, we gonna get you right on up out of here. So guess what he did, Skip? He conformed, played really well. We put him on guaranteed money. So Rob, he said, Rob, give Rob his money. This organization, you laugh. The Lakers hadn't been good in such a long time. They're laughing stocks. They don't win anything. We the champs. But he saved the best for last. He said, for me, he said, I want my damn respect.
I deserve that.
I deserve that. Because guys like Skip Bayless and Rob Parker that said he came out here, a lot of others, I ain't gonna name you. I ain't gonna put you on blast, but you said it. You said he came to retire, that he came to rest on what he had already accomplished. He wasn't about winning no titles. Look at the way this team, little did you know he was working behind the scenes. Had something brewing. Yeah, that's Skip. I used to do that all the time. Granny, what you cooking? Don't worry about it, boy. I bet you'll like it. I bet you gonna eat it. LeBron James came here with a purpose, although you could not see it, and that's what genius is. Genius can aim at something that you can't see and hit that target. That's a genius right there, Skip. So give that man his credit. Give that man, he wanted. He deserves it. Now, I want you to that same vigor that you said he came here to be Michael B. Jordan. And how you love that. Okay. Michael B. Jordan.
Did he not have a blooper blunder tape that we played again and again because he went 28 and 27 as a starter for his first-year Lakers, right? Bloopers and blunders all over the basketball map, including getting his last shot blocked in the Garden by Mario Hezonja.
I promise you, there have been times, no matter how great you are, you flubbed something. Whether you're a great actor, you probably flubbed the line.
He flubbed the whole year.
Don't do that, Skip.
Well, he did.
27, 8, and 8.
Oh, please.
That's what he did.
It was
27, 8, and 8.
It was an embarrassment.
27, 8, and 8. He did that.
Okay, so I get when he says the Lakers deserve their respect.
Deserve it.
And he, again, he can't stop himself from cursing in public, but he used a very vulgar word. He said the Lakers have been bleeped upon, you know, like dumped upon.
Yeah, y'all dumped on it.
Okay. For the last 5 to 7 years because they'd been missing the playoffs and they were kind of a laughing stock, right? A clown show when Magic walked out the back door one night, right? Okay, so I get that part. But when he went all the way to his drop the mic line, which was, and I deserve my damn respect.
He deserved it.
I was like, LeBron, you're LeBron bleeping James. You're the king. You're, says Shannon, the GOAT.
Yeah.
And you have to ask for your respect. You have to demand your respect. So can you imagine Michael Jordan at the end of any finals grabbing the mic and saying, and I deserve my damn respect?
I watched Michael Jordan put out a documentary.
Okay.
I watched him put out a documentary.
Everybody gave him his respect without him having to ask or beg for it.
Why did he put out that begging for respect? Why did he put out that documentary? If he's Michael Jordan, if the last thing, if he's Michael Jordan, because he had to co-sign on everything.
He got sick of people like you saying LeBron's the GOAT.
No, but you just told me.
And he closed the case, slammed it right in your face.
Time out. You just told me that he would never have to stoop to such things, but yet you said he got tired of it. Also, Patrick Beverly. You remember when they signed Kawhi and Paul George? Pat Beverly out in Vegas talking about, you know it's over for y'all, right? He tells Steph Curry, it's not, your time is up. It's our time now. And even Kawhi Leonard, that's who he was talking about. Because Kawhi Leonard came out here doing his little commercials, had the keychain. You don't mess with the king. We the king here, Skip.
So how could LeBron take much, if any, credit for beating the East 5th seed, and the 5th seed lost its leading playoff scorer and its MVP in Game 1. And you've got the second best player in the world as your co-star. Well, you should have won. And then give me my damn respect? What are you talking about?
Hey,
for doing what? Accomplishing what?
All the Clippers would have had to do was to be there, and we beat them down too. What Debo tell them? Beat him down, beat you down too.
Okay. The Clippers did not want to be in the bubble. And LeBron took advantage, and way to go. He led them to a bubble championship.
But help me understand this. They didn't want to be in the bubble, but they wanted to get a 3-1 lead. So now, all of a sudden, once they lose, they didn't want to be there. But when they get in that 3-1 lead, it sure looked like they wanted to be there to me.
You won the coronavirus championship.
there you go.
No,
Congratulations.
that is not the name. We are not calling it
You're a
that.
hater, man. You're
We are
straight
not
up
calling
hater.
it that. Let
Truth
Shannon
teller.
get his ring and enjoy this while he
Yes,
can.
let me get my ring.
How many more days? He's only got a couple more days to soak it all in. No mercy. Well, after being ranked 4th last season, James Harden came in 9th, according to ESPN.com's rankings of NBA players. Harden's slide was attributed to his questionable status in Houston, along with his shaky postseason performance. So, Shannon, do you agree with this?
Skip, I think it's a little low, but I think the uncertainty, again, this is a projection, and I think the uncertainty of where James Harden is going to be, who's going to be his teammates, what type of offense is James Harden going to be in. Had that not been the case, Skip, there's no question. Skip, the guy that finishes top 3 in the MVP for the last 5 years, obviously he's better than the 9th player, but I think the uncertainty around James Harden's situation led them to rank him number 9.
James Harden is better than Damian Lillard. I'm sorry. He's led this league in scoring 3 straight years. No, I'm
dollar
sorry.
time.
In PER last year, James was 2nd. In those 3rd-level stats, value added and wins added, estimated wins added, he led the NBA in both those categories. He was 6th in deflections on defense because he played his tail off on defense, and he was 3rd in loose balls recovered. I thought he played as hard on defense as he has in his whole career combined last year. Damian had his worst defensive win shares of his career last year. He had a good year. He was 5th in PER. I give you that. But he's not James Harden. He's just not. I'm sorry.
But Dame Lillard is going to be in Portland. He knows who his teammates are going to be.
I don't think they were speculating in this ranking.
You got to.
Why? I mean, you know
so
what
you think James Harden's going to be the 9th best player if he goes back to Houston with that roster?
Okay, but you're basing it on how he did last year. That's what he did last year.
No, they said projection. Coming into this year, we got 1-2.
Yeah.
Or 1-2.
You got the best 2 players. You should run away with this thing this year.
But then you'll find a reason why. Oh, you got the 1-2. You should.
I can't argue with success.
See, you argue.
That is it for Undisputed. Good stuff today, guys. We're back same time tomorrow. Have a good day, everyone.